Welcome to the Propreneur Podcast, where we help practice owners become better entrepreneurs. I'm your host, Dino Watt. And welcome once again, everybody, to the Propreneur Podcast. I am Dino Watt. I'm your host. I'm excited for you to be here today. Again, thank you so much for all of you who are telling your friends and colleagues about this show and getting the word out there. It really is so heartwarming to hear all of the feedback and the messages that I get sent to me on a weekly basis of people who either found the show because of a friend or by happenstance and have received the value that we're trying to give you. Remember, our goal here is always to bring you the best practices possible so that you can have more productivity, more positivity, and more profit inside of your business. Today is going to be one of our special days because today is the day where we're actually talking to one of our professionals who are actually out there. They're doing the work. They are actually figuring out how to be business owners, how to be parents, how to be friends, how to have a life, all while being successful in their business. And I'm excited to have Dr. Tu today joining us all the way from Brooklyn, New York. Dr. Tu, welcome.
Thank you so much, Dino. Thank you so much for having me on your show. I'm so excited to be here today.
Oh, I'm thrilled to have you too. Well, if you've mentioned earlier before that you've actually listened to some of the shows, so you know that we always start out with your story. So tell us a little bit about your story. How did you get into this? I know that your family immigrated from Vietnam and you have a really cool story there. Tell us, tell us a little bit about your background, but then also why did you get into this world of dentistry?
Oh, yes. So my family immigrated from Vietnam in 1992. Both my dad was in the Vietnam War and he fought for the American side. So then when Vietnam fell and the Americans left, he got sent to like a re-education camp. So after the war, America allowed us to immigrate to the United States because of that. So we stayed in DC growing up ever since I was 18 until I left for college.
Wow.
And I really got interested in dentistry because I actually grew up having really bad teeth. Like for some reason, my front tooth, which is like the number 8, which we dentists called your front maxillary tooth, never came in. So I was missing this front tooth, which kind of made me look like the image of like the Mad magazine.
Oh,
like
yeah.
that funny guy.
Alfred E. Newman.
I look like that. And then my mom did have dental insurance through her job. So she was a housekeeper for a hotel chain, and they did give her dental insurance. But for some reason, I think because of the cost value, like braces and getting dental implants, she never really focused on dental until I got to high school, like even like late in high school, that she really invested in getting my dental work done. So like I got cavities filled, braces, implants, you named it. And I was not even 18. So It was like an interesting experience. And I really realized like what a nice smile and a healthy smile can do for your self-confidence at such an early age. And I grew up really poor. So my family, we all grew up in like the projects of DC. Like we lived in low income housing, and my dad worked full time at McDonald's until he left to work as a houseman. 10 years later, my mom was a full-time housekeeper. So they really taught me the importance of, saving up money and kind of hard work, and sacrifice.
Wow, that's amazing.
Thank you. So I really wanted to kind of leave DC and, get out of it and make a better life for myself as an adult. So I decided that I was going to get a career that I could be independent and I wouldn't need anyone. And I was really interested in helping people. So I actually wanted to be a medical doctor. And then once I got into college and I explored a little bit more about dentistry, I went to a summer camp and it was at Howard University College of Dentistry. So that they really kind of opened my eyes about dentistry. And then I went home and I shadowed that whole summer, my dentist who like did my dental work, and
Oh, the same
he
guy
was,
who did all your implants and
yeah,
everything.
yeah,
Wow,
and
that's
he was
cool.
like 70 years old at that time, and I was asking him like, "Do you love your job?" He's like, "Oh yeah, I love it." Like he's still practicing now, so he must be
Wow.
in his like 80s, and he's still loving the profession.
Wow.
And it was really funny because I had interned at GW Hospital, Georgetown Washington Hospital in DC, during my high school years and early in my college years. And I interned also at other medical offices, like OBGYN offices. And every time I asked these doctors, these medical doctors, like, can you give me some advice about your career? Because I was thinking about going into healthcare.
Sure.
Everyone's advice was not to go into it. And
Don't do it.
I did, they're like, my best advice, don't even do it. And I, first I was like, wow, like maybe you don't want me to, have a great life like you. But then I thought
Ah,
about it after maybe 5 doctors said that to me, it hit me that they must be all telling the truth. I mean, why would 5 doctors give me
right.
the same advice? Like, this is not looking too good of a career.
Wow.
And I'd ask them why, and they would tell me like, and it was the same answer like all across the board. They were just saying that if you like patient and you like patient interaction, it's not there anymore. Like they're always doing paperwork, they're always like, filing insurance claims. It's the managed care really overtook
All that
medicine.
personal one-on-one is gone
It's
now.
not
All that
there.
person.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
Exactly. And that's that's the initial reason why I wanted to go into medicine. Um, so then they said, you know what, maybe you could consider dentistry. So they kind of push those
Interesting.
medical doctor even told me to maybe pursue a different part of medicine that I didn't even consider before.
Wow.
So I was open-minded enough to, you know, see a different side of dentistry and be more exposed to it. Um, and then I just went to dental school. And even then, I was not sure that was going to be a career for me.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
But
So I
obviously
was
it worked
very,
out. You actually
you know,
decided to stick to it.
it only worked out in the last few years when I think I opened up my own office. But for a long time, I questioned if this was
Even
even
after
the
you
right
graduated,
career.
you questioned if you were going to do this.
Yeah.
Oh my
Yes.
goodness.
For the last so for the beginning of my career, so even throughout dental school and after I graduated, for the next like 4 years of my career, I asked every dentist that I talked to and I knew why they chose dentistry and how they knew if this was a career for them. And they asked me why I didn't know if it was a career for me. And I go, I just kind of fell into it. So I really want to understand why you chose this profession, because I'm still wondering if this is, my
Oh my
career.
gosh. How were your parents not like, are you kidding me? You just went through all this school and now you're thinking maybe not? That's
I mean,
crazy.
yeah, I mean, my third year, um, it was hard, and my second year of dental school was also hard. So, you know what? Every year I asked my parents, "Can I drop out of dental school?" And every year the answer was no. Just
Of course not.
finish,
Nope.
just
Just get it
finish.
done.
So, like, I wish I could tell you that I was that student who knew what I wanted, but I didn't. And I still didn't know even at my fourth year when I was about to graduate. I just didn't know anything, like if I should specialize, if I should
So
just go straight
when
in.
was the moment? When was that moment that you're like, okay, this is it? Like there had to have been some moment. Or maybe it was gradual.
And it was a little gradual. I think when I opened up my office, that was like the moment that, well,
I
this,
think
I
when I
guess this has
realized I
to
had
be
$1
it.
million in debt and I opened up
Yeah.
the office and I better figure it out.
Yes, yes, that was probably the
That's a good
moment
motivator.
where, you know what? Every day I come to work, I tell my dental assistant the same thing and they laugh at me. I always ask them, hey, you think when I pay off my student loans, can I like retire? And they look at me and they go, no, because we would lose our job. So no.
That's right.
So
Oh my
now
gosh.
that they know that I am actually going to finish paying off my student loan probably next month, They're
Oh,
like, Dr. Vu, are you going to retire? I go, maybe. But then
you should totally play with them and do like let's do just a party. I mean, we won't call it a retirement party. Let's just do a party, and then we'll see where we go from there. And just totally mess with them.
I know. I was telling all my staff that, and my husband, that when I finish finally paying my student loans from dental school, I'm going to host a big party, and it'll be like Dr. Vu is finally out of debt.
Yeah, that is amazing.
With
Wow.
champagne, a cake.
Well, it actually, there are a couple things you said that I wanted to unpack there, because I started thinking about you as a parent and hearing what your parents sacrificed for you. And you have siblings?
Yes. So I have 3 brothers. So I'm a middle child.
Okay. So your parents sacrificed a lot for you all, not just coming to a new country. And it's one of those amazing stories, right? Like my family came over like 3-4 generations ago. So I don't have any stories like that, right? So to hear this, not only is it inspiring, but as a parent, when I see what you have accomplished now and where they came from and where they were and the sacrifice they made, like how do they feel about your success and where you are just now? I like whether you consider it a success or not, but your accomplishments, how do they feel about that?
They don't really think much about it because I would say that all of my brothers are also quite successful. Like they also graduated from like a really good colleges and made a career for themselves as well. For them, it was almost like they had prayed. So they're very devout Catholic.
Okay.
And for them, it's almost like it should have been a given. Like
they prayed it into existence.
I think so. Yeah. They have manifested
totally.
by talking to God every single day that
I know
this
that.
is how it should be.
I try to do that. I obviously don't have the connection your parents do to God, because I try to do that with my kids and it's not working out. But
oh yeah. You know what? If my parents heard you say that, they would actually look at you in the eye and say, "You have to pray harder."
Pray harder.
Pray harder.
True. That's probably
pray harder
probably true.
And more.
Probably true. Wow, that is amazing. So then what is cool though is this legacy part of it too. I wanted to touch on both your parents and the doctor that you went back to, who helped you, who made you and helped you see the value of the smile that you have, and that you interned under him and still now are continuing his legacy of helping people care about their oral health. I think that is fascinating.
Yeah, and even I had gone back to see him when I first graduated from dental school, and he was proud of me, definitely. But in a way, it was almost like it was a given. Like he was like, "Of course, like you're going to be a dentist. Like, of course you're going to be successful. Like, why wouldn't it be? Like it wasn't like there was like proudness that he had mentored me into this profession." But in a way, it was more like, okay, yeah, of course this would happen.
Wow.
Like almost like my parents. Like I think this is
right. I was like, he's probably
praying
with your parents same time. Why are you surprised about this?
Yeah, like I think all these baby boomers, they have expectations for you, but when you do meet them, they're not that enthusiastic for you. It's almost like, of course, that's what it should have been.
Wow. Well, what a journey that's been, and that you've got, and now you also are one of the things we're going to talk about is the fact that you are a practice owner, and you've had your practice for how long now in Brooklyn?
4 years now, since 2017. Yeah.
You have 2 children.
Yes, under the age of 2.
Under the age of 2. So you're a mom, you're a doctor, you're a spouse. Like, how are you kind of balancing all of that? We're talking today on a Tuesday afternoon. So you obviously have some things dialed in that you're doing to make sure that your office runs around your life, not making the office run your life. So how are you doing that? Like, tell us a little bit about your decisions and your focus to make that happen.
Absolutely. So I believe that when you get to a stage in your life where there is a lot of responsibilities that you have to take on, like you're leading a team, by being a professional, especially if you own your own office, you're the team leader. It's good to set systems in place and to outsource a lot of things you can outsource. So I try to outsource everything that I can possibly can. So, with my, household, I have a nanny that comes in when I'm working and she comes to my house. So I'm not commuting anywhere with my babies. I have, a house cleaner. So I don't have to clean my house. I mean, I could, but I just wouldn't have that time or that energy to spend with my kids.
That's right. You're dedicating the time that's necessary to be with your kids instead of cleaning a toilet.
Exactly. So,
I think that is brilliant. I love that. And I have a part in my first book, The Practice RX, where I say, live like a rock star, which is, these rock stars out here, celebrities, they don't have time to go do their dry cleaning. They don't drop off their stuff. It's not about arrogance. It's about knowing where you are, where's the highest and best use of your time, whether that be highest and best use of your time is with your kids, hanging out with them, or just playing with them, or being present with them, or highest and best use of your time being in your office, or creating a business strategy for your office. Like, that is so important. I'm so glad you said that, because you get this at an early age in your business.
I agree. I mean, my mom would think I'm like not cool because she's a house cleaner for a living. So if someone else is cleaning my house,
it's like clean your own house.
But I think my time and my energy is very finite. Like, I don't have an unlimited amount of time and energy. So if I have 2 kids and I want to be present with them and I want to take them to the park and I want to take them to do all these activities, or maybe I could, but that it would just tire me out to not even be a good boss and a good mother.
Totally agree. I totally agree. You only have so much bandwidth, and I don't think it's a selfish thing at all. I wish more people would do it. I talk highly about this idea of receiving and being that you can't give from an empty cup. So if you want to be present mom, present doctor, present business owner, you can't be giving away all of that presence to cleaning the kitchen. There's nothing wrong with cleaning the kitchen. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is you need to prioritize your time for the highest and best use. And I do not apologize ever for doing that. Anybody listening to this right now, like, if you take one thing from this podcast, figure out more things in your life. Yes, you could do it. I know, doctor, you are perfectly capable of cleaning a kitchen. I understand that you're perfectly okay with folding your laundry, and it's not necessary.
I agree.
Wow.
Yes.
I love it.
And I don't even grocery shop anymore. So we get our groceries delivered.
Yep.
I order HelloFresh. So the groceries already done. I'll cook the meal. So, my heart is in my meal when I do cook, even though, I didn't buy the groceries.
Yeah.
It saves a lot of time. So I try to outsource as much as I can, definitely. And then we do have systems in place in my office. So
I was just going to ask you. That's great. Yeah, I want to know that about your office. It's great.
So I have an awesome office manager, Danielle. She handles all my phone calls, and I text her things that I need to do, even on my days off, like on Wednesdays and Sundays. If someone calls in, then I'll text her and she will handle that for me. So she kind of handles my life for me, and I have like amazing girls that work for me. So Roselle, Beatrice, Hazel, Alicia, Emily, like, they're amazing girls that I work with. So even when I went on maternity leave and my office was still open for a month, they handled everything for me.
Really? They took care of all of that for you? Wow.
Yeah. So my office was open even though I wasn't there. I mean, they weren't like treating patients, but if there was any emergencies, yes, they would come in, they would take the x-rays, and then they would send them to the proper, tell them the proper care if they wanted to wait for me or they wanted a referral. So, and I feel like I've trained these girls to know what I want, that they know how to do it now. Like, we have systems, like, they know I expect something of them, and they know. So I think that has to do with communication. Like, I've communicated to them what I expect them to do, so I won't be disappointed.
Well, the great thing about that is that you're setting not only yourself up for the success, but you're also setting them up to take more ownership. I hear often from doctors who are like, how do I get my team members just to have more ownership? Or how do I delegate it and trust that it'll get done? Well, obviously you hired correctly. First of all, you actually took your time to find the right people. And second of all, you are giving them that trust. So therefore they're taking that trust and growing. And I think that's such a valuable lesson for so many people. In your profession in general, most people are very high achievers and have the attitude of like, well, I can just get it done faster, or why spend the money on this thing when I can just do it, or why take the time to train this person when I can just do it myself? Let's get it done faster and probably right. You're taking a different attitude. I think that's really, really awesome and brave.
I take the lazy attitude. I'm lazy, so
love it.
If I can do the least amount of work, like you only need me to be a doctor. Like I will see the patient when everything is ready. All the x-rays are ready, all the diagnostic, the images, like, and everything is prepped for me, then I'll come in. And they know that, like, so I don't want to be in the room until I'm needed, because my time is very valuable. Like I could be with another patient.
I think of this myself, like I've had to learn this a lot. I'm probably still working on it a bit, of this idea that if I'm not working hard, then the money I make doesn't have value, right? I grew up a concrete contractor's kid. It was you sweat by your brow and that's how you make your money. And this is really an interesting concept to think about, of like, no, my value is in the thing I'm focused on doing. Like you said, when everything's prepped and ready to go, then I can be the best in those 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 20 minutes I'm with that client, hour I'm with that client, because I'm not thinking about, well, wait, so do they do the proper x-ray on this thing? Or do we have these supplies ordered here? Or am I going to be meeting with that person over here? Like all of that other stuff that takes up your bandwidth, it diminishes your ability to be as amazing as you are at what you do.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I couldn't agree with you more. I mean, when I'm in the patient's mouth, I have a flow. Like I'm in this flow. Like all I'm thinking about is let's get whatever I need to do done. And, it's for dentistry, it's a procedure. Like you're doing procedures.
That's right.
All day, every day. Like that's how you're making your money for your office. You're doing procedures. So I can't just be talking to a patient and boom, I'm making money. I mean, like, that'd be great for me, but that doesn't work out that well.
That's right.
So if I'm not in your mouth and I'm not doing a procedure, no money is really coming into my office to support us. So, to be as efficient as possible, I need to be in the right mindset when I'm doing the procedure, and that flow has to be there. And I don't really want to be interrupted. Like I'm going to be in there for, an hour or 30 minutes, finish it off, and then I'm done with the patient. So, my girls knows that when they need to know what to set up for me, what procedures I'm doing, what goes on, they know, like they have it we've streamlined the process so well that they know exactly what I want for a specific procedure. And they know exactly what I'm going to do next. So I've really even streamlined my processes. Like they know exactly what I'm going to do.
They know what's happening.
They could probably do it themselves.
Right. Well, and that's a key point, right? Is to be able to empower them to do so. So let me ask you this then, because I love the point of, I am not there to, I mean, yes, you have your bedside manner. I get that that's not what you're saying, but that you're there to be in the focus and the flow of what you're doing. How have you empowered? How have you trained? How have you given permission to your team members to be a representative of you, so those patients feel like that touch with them is coming from you or is a representative of you? So because a lot of doctors worry, oh, I want people to really feel like I'm selling them. I'm my business. And that's true, but I use this example a lot. If anybody's heard this show at any long distance of time, Walt Disney's been dead for, I think, almost 50 years now. And yet every time you go to Disneyland, you feel his presence because his team members, you can do the same thing. So my question is, with your focus on that, how do you empower those team members to do that, to be your representative?
Oh, I totally agree. I mean, if you ever read any of my reviews online, people talk about my staff, like they barely talk about me because
Nice.
I'm usually not even there. Like,
Yeah.
well, I am there, but
Right.
you spend 80% of your time in my office, probably with my staff member,
Yep.
like, doing the diagnostic workup. And that takes more time than for me to come in and to explain to you what I'm seeing. So I tell them, like, you are an extension of me. Like,
That's
how
right.
warm and how caring I am, my staff needs to be the same way, because from the front desk to the back staff, they're all a representation of me, right? And
Yep.
they're all for me, they're all my children. Like, I treat my staff like my children, although most of us are actually the same age.
Yeah.
So they know what is expected of them, and they know that we are a 5-star office. So the experience has to be there. Like, I want everyone to have a great experience in my office. Like, almost like a 5-star restaurant. When you go into a 5-star restaurant, yeah, food, everyone's saying the food should be great.
Right.
But it's
That's
the
a given.
experience that you're going for. Like, so I tell them our office is the same. The quality of dentistry is there. You're probably not going to find a better quality for my staff.
Sure.
I think our quality is top notch, but that's almost a given at any, good dental office. So what will set us apart is the warmth and the love and the empathy that we give to our clients.
That's
and
right.
So they know that that's what I expect of them. So they perform. And I do think I hire slow and fire fast. So if you're not like a
Speaking
great
my
fit
language,
for my office,
my language is so important.
if you're not a great fit for my office, I know within like 5 minutes, I just kind of let you walk up my door. Like, there's no point in keeping you.
That's right. And I think it's actually an act of love.
It
I
is.
use the analogy all the time, or the experience all the time, of if you've ever had a situation where you walk in the morning and you see Sally, and Sally says good morning to you, and you say good morning back, but in your head you're thinking, boy, I wish you would quit. You are doing a disservice to her, because you aren't being honest with her. And so you love them more if you're willing to let them go faster. I literally had to send a video to a client earlier this morning who is going to be letting one of their front office people go. And it's an act of love. And I know it's hard and it's awkward and it's weird, but it's an act of love.
I agree. I mean, I always try to put my best foot forward, and I expect the same from my staff. Yeah. So, I read energy pretty well, and all my girls do as well. So they know when I'm putting my all into our office. Like, they know I'm coming to work so that we can all make money. Yep. And, without money coming into our office, well, they can't get a paycheck. So, they know that they're a core to the office. Their efforts matter. And, I make it known that this is a team effort. Like, people don't come to my office just for me. They come for all of my team as well. Yep. Like, when you call my office, like, my front desk name, like everyone's calling me like, hi, is this Danielle? Like, they know her name already without me being there.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Wow. That is so great. I love that. I love that you're creating this. And here's the powerful thing, Doctor, too, is that you are doing this at an early stage in your career. I know you're ready to retire next month, but if you don't retire and you continue on, you're learning this and you're implementing this at a very young stage. And in a lot of ways, you are ruining your team members in a positive way. I love it. Like, I often talk about how Disney ruined me. When I worked for Disney, they ruined me because I can't see, for example, a trash can that's overflowing in an office and be like, hey, why is the trash can overflowing? Right. Like, it ruined me. That's what you're doing with these. And that's a positive thing. And I do not stop. Don't just keep doing what you're doing. I think it's fabulous.
My staff change our trash can 3 times a day to twice a day. It's halfway filled. They know I'm like OCD about it. They'll just go change it right away.
Well, so it's funny that you mentioned the 5-star thing, because I think a lot of people, oftentimes when I'm speaking or doing a training, I will talk about core values, and people will say, oh, we have honesty and integrity is our thing. I'm like, no, that's like the cost of doing business. So like you're saying, like, good quality work, that's the cost of doing business. We should all, as consumers, just assume that because you have a placard that says you're a dentist out on your front door, that you actually are good at what you do. That's what our expectation is. what is not expected and hoped for. And our desire is to have that experience that you talked about, to be in a situation where we feel comfortable and relaxed and people care about us. And I mean, my wife and I actually left our dentist that we had for probably, I want to say we're going around 10 years, that we had all of our kids went through and stuff like that. Finally, we left them because we just didn't feel that anymore. And we found somebody who absolutely does those things. And we are now a client for them and referring clients to them because of that. So you're absolutely right on. I talk about have you heard me talk about the 5-star 2-ply?
No.
So I just have this thing, I wrote an article about it and stuff like that, how often people will claim to have 5-star service. And I get this all the time when I go into offices, right? Oh, we're the best and we give the best customer service. And one of my tests that I do is I go into their bathroom and I see, are they giving me 1-ply or 2-ply toilet paper? It's like,
oh, we have 2-ply.
It's like, that's the difference, right? When you walk into supposedly 5-star places and you have 1-ply crappy toilet paper, like, come on. You're there's a mismatch here. So you got to give at least 2, if not 3, if not 4, right? You want pillows for those ladies to make them feel like, wow, they thought about me, right? It's just all the difference.
Yeah. It's really funny because I actually don't market myself. And I don't even tell patients that, this is actually what I want to become, like a 5-star office. And it's even not what I tell my staff.
No.
I just tell them, you know what? I want our office to be somewhere you're going to be proud to be working at.
That's right.
Somewhere if you tell your, family member, hey, I actually work for Two's Dental, like,
yep.
You'll be happy that you want to refer your,
yep.
Mom, your dad, like something that you'll be proud of in the community to say, hey, this is actually where I work at. Like
badge of honor.
Yeah. And I feel like that is what, I think, in my opinion, that's what we have now. But,
right.
it really came from a love of my staff and my community and my patients.
Yeah.
Less so than, hey, I just want to be a 5-star office, like just for
and that's the purity of where it comes from. And I think that's really, really powerful. That's amazing. So I wanted to touch on a few things. I know we're getting close on time here, but I want to touch on a few things. You do a lot of work with other groups, right? So especially like other women, employees, owners. And talk to us about that. Talk to us about like your desire to kind of get out there in the community and things like that, because that's really cool.
Yes. So I do like to support a lot of, I guess, new like women who want to go into dentistry. Mm-hmm. So I've mentored 5 young females.
Wow.
Ever since my career started, and they've like shadowed me, and they came to work for me. They even interned for me, and one is actually she's been working for me for the past 2 years, and she's coming to work for me full time for the whole entire year this year. And I would all 5 of them actually got into dental school, and I think one just graduated from UPenn this summer, and yeah, and then so it
so you're continuing the legacy.
Yeah, just because I when people do call into my office, looking for an intern or shadowing, and if I have the capacity, like I will allow them to come and shadow me, and I'll even keep up the relationship, because I do want young people and young females to know that they can also, do what I do. Like,
yep,
they're able to do this, and it's not that hard. Like, they can do it. If I can do it, you can do it.
So there's this kind of feeling though, where, and this is just for me, and maybe you felt this too, but there's this feeling sometimes where you have to have kind of a certain personality to be a dentist or an orthodontist or a dentist, or even in the medical field in general. You have kind of created this, I gotta be me type feeling. We talked about this a little bit beforehand about how one of the challenges maybe that you found when you were first going out and associating was offices that felt maybe a little more stale or stiff, or didn't allow you to be authentically you. And I think that's a big challenge with a lot of doctors, feeling like they got to fit into some sort of box. Granted, we all have our legal things we have to do, right? I understand that. Let's put that out of the way. But when it comes to being who you are, who you want to be, what your character is, sometimes we stifle that for the look of being a professional. Tell us about your journey a little bit there and how you kind of buck that a bit.
Yes. So I'm glad we're talking about this because I do believe that, with dentistry and with medicine, most of the time it is almost like a male dominated field.
Yeah.
And you have to be almost like quite business-like, like almost like a cold demeanor. Like you can't really be warm and fuzzy and loud and kind of upfront. And to show that you really care, like not I didn't experience that too often in a lot of the doctors I even go to, or a lot of the doctors I even know. So when I was early in my career, I mean, I looked like I was young. I looked like I was 18. So no one really trusted me. And I almost like try to front my persona to be, more dominant, more male, like more male traits. So I try to like exude this fake confidence. Like as my boss told me, my boss would tell me, oh, you have to be more like this or like that. So sometimes they would kind of guide me to be more like them.
Right.
And it's hard. It's hard to do that because that's just not who I am. And so it took a lot of effort to be someone else.
Do you have an example of that where there was a doctor who was like, hey, tamper it down, simmer down now? Like,
Yeah. So, I mean, I used to practice in Philadelphia, like very blue collared. And, there was one time when a occupational therapist came up to me and, he was being she was being very kind, or what she thought was being very kind to me. And she said, you know what your problem is? I think you're too, quote unquote, you're too ghetto and you don't present yourself very well. And even sometimes you're kind of childlike in the way that you speak. It's like very like Valley girl. And that's not very professional. And she said it out of kindness.
Right.
But
She's
in a
trying to
very
mentor you
judgmental
probably a little bit, but yeah.
Yeah. And I took it kind of personal, and I was young at that time. I was like 28 or 29, and I was a little bit lost about who I wanted to be in the world. So I really took her advice and I said, oh, is this really my problem? Like, is this how people are seeing me? Is this how people, like how I'm being conveyed to other people? And then for maybe like 6 months to a year, I really took that personally. And it took me until my 30s to realize it doesn't really matter. Like, I am who I am. I can't change that. Like, I can't be authentic without being, raw, without having my warmthness and, having my urban accent. And, even sometimes I speak with a very loud pitch. That's just who I am. Like, I can't change that. Like, I can't change my excitement for things. And like, it is what it is. Like, I'm not going to dim my stuff, like, my light of who I am.
Yes.
To please someone and to know that it's okay. Like, it's okay to be you. And even though it's different and it's not seen as quote unquote professional, people know that you're authentic. Like, I always look at artists like Cardi B and Billie Eilish, like they're authentically them, like no one can really be them. And we appreciate that. And, some people might hate them because they're not like, they're not the mainstream. And that's okay. So I had to really open up my own office and realize that people come to my office and they love me for who I am.
That's
and
right.
I'm different from their dentist, and that's okay. You don't have to be like that. And, you kind of form your own niche in whatever industry you are, because your vibration, your light, as long as you're putting love out to the world, I think it's going to come back. Like, and it could be whoever you are, like it could be whoever you want to be, as long as you're spreading the good energy out. I think that's all that matters.
Wow. I love that. I love it. I think it's so important for us to really be okay with who we are. And I think it gives that variety, right? That spice of life. And
I agree.
there's a professionalism that actually comes with being more authentically you. Because
I
a lot of times when
agree.
people say that that professionalism, when the standard of professionalism or whatever they're thinking, it's usually what someone else gave them too, right? It's like, oh, you have to act a certain way or be this certain. There is someone for everyone out there. I think that's part of figuring out also who your ideal clients are, those people who appreciate you for that authenticity. So I don't stop. I think it's awesome. Love it. And love it. That's so cool.
Thank you, Dino. It took me a while, many years, maybe all throughout my like adulthood to like figure this out, that I was okay being who I am.
I think the worst part about everything you just said was people who aren't seeing this on video aren't realizing that you still kind of look 19.
I know no one, people, if my name wasn't on my door, people wouldn't realize I am the dentist. I come in, they're like,
I'm the doctor.
So who's the dentist? I'm like, oh, that's me. And if they had like people who, come to me now, they've researched me online, so they know who I look like. So they go, oh, you must be Dr. Vu. But if it wasn't for that, they think I'm just one of the girls.
That is so funny. That's awesome. Well, you have uplifted us today totally, and I really appreciate your time and sharing with us. We've got to the place in our show where we do our 6 questions for every one of our guests. Are you willing to play?
I'm ready, Dino. I'm ready.
All righty. This is awesome. All right. So tell me, what is the number one thing that you wish they would have taught you in graduate school?
So I know everyone says business, and I think there's some truth to that. Like, I think knowing something about business, knowing something about like how to do a startup, if that's what you're looking for, or buying existing practice, for dentistry wise, I think that would be great. Just because at the end of the day, the reason why you're a dentist is you're either going to be, starting your own practice or buying another practice or going into a group practice. Yep. So knowing how the dynamics of that would really help.
That's awesome. I think that should be a definite class that people give you. So what's a book that you believe every private practice owner should be reading?
So I read this book when it first came out, Leaders Eat Last. Oh, yeah. And I listened to it. Yeah. And I listened to it again recently. And I think there's so much information there, and such the way that he writes is really well. And he uses like real world stories to show you what leadership looks like.
Mm-hmm. I totally agree. I was at dinner with somebody a while ago. I've used this line a few times, and it's just so true. You can fake a lot of things in your business, but the one thing you cannot fake is leadership.
I agree. I mean, it's felt. And, when you are a business owner in any capacity, you're the leader. Like, you can't outsource that.
Yeah. Well, speaking of books, and my book, The Practice RX, I do focus on team culture and team performance as the foundation to all business growth. What do you see as the biggest challenge that your private practice colleagues are facing when it comes to teams and office culture?
I think having an office culture, I think that's number one. I mean, if you don't set the tone for an office culture, someone's going to set it for you. Like, it's not you, and it's going to be someone else. So I think setting up the tone of what you're wanting your office culture to be like, and that will kind of guide the team members to how they act and how they treat you and how they treat your patients. So setting the right tone for the culture is really important, and letting people go if they're not the right fit for your culture, because some people are not on board with your culture. And that's okay.
That's okay. I love it. That's okay. It's okay. They're not a bad person. You're not a bad person. It's just not a fit. And that's okay. You're not going to marry every person you date. It's okay.
Exactly.
So we want to make sure that people can reach out to you if they have any questions, or just like to pick your brain, or maybe have you speak at one of their events. What's the best way people to reach out to you?
Yes. So you can visit my website, TUSdental.com, TUS dental.com. You can also email us at choosedental@gmail.com. We are on Instagram at
Nice.
choosedentalnyc. And we're on Facebook, although I don't really check that very often. But
So everybody
and
knows it's TUS Dental, right?
yes,
Tango, Umbrella, Samson.
yes.
That's right. Awesome. Okay. So what do you feel is the best advice you've ever received in life or in business?
I think this is what I've been working on my whole entire life, just to be authentically you. Whatever that is, whatever that may be,
Own it. Just
to be you. And there's no one else like you in the world. So as long as you shine your light, like they said, don't die with your story inside of you. Don't tell someone else's story, tell your story.
I posted something just a few days ago. I'd heard this. I was listening to some Les Brown talks. He's a pretty famous speaker. And he said, we all are born unique, but most of us die copies.
I agree.
That was so profound. It's like, dang it, that's so true. So,
and our culture does that to us, right? Our culture tries to, if you're a nail that sticks up, someone's going to bang you down. And
yes.
I think you just learn that, you know what, it's okay if someone tries to bang you down, you're still going to just stand tall and be that nail that sticks up.
Yep. Have to stick out. That's so important. All right. Last question. So what is the best resource or tool that you have used to grow your practice?
You know what? I was so scared of opening my practice in 2017, and I got a life coach, and she really changed my life.
Nice. Oh, I'm so glad you said that.
I think everyone should really have a life coach. Like, my mindset was just not at the right place. Like, I really lacked the confidence because you're new. I mean, you're a new office, you're a new startup. Like, you haven't done this before. I think getting a life coach is amazing experience, to have someone to talk to have someone who's rational in thought, to kind of guide
see things a little differently than you see it.
And she really changed my mindset. Like, I think mindset is everything, and it wasn't something I had really done. I didn't do any self-improvement before then. And so then when I started into the self-improvement arena after my early 30s, like, it really changed the course of my career.
Wow, that's awesome. Well, I'm so glad you said that, because I believe in it wholeheartedly. I agree. I come from a long line of stinking thinking, and so just to be able to change that mindset and be able just to see things a little differently, so powerful in our lives. And speaking of powerful, speaking of just really a treasure, thank you for being here and gracing us with such great wisdom, and really just the story you tell, the legacy that you are part of and you're leaving. It's just really an honor to talk to you. Thank you for your time today.
Oh, thank you, Dino. It was my pleasure. So I really enjoyed this.
Oh, good. Well, we had a lot of fun, and I hope that everybody listening took a lot of good notes and really saw like the importance of becoming, and actually not becoming, just choosing to be authentically you, being able to support those that are around you, looking out to good causes, and really seeing that, the pace that you set in your office, the time that you give to the things that are most important are what you need to focus on. It's not about, I don't believe in balance. I believe in flow. And when you can do that, you can do it. Dr. Tu has talked to us about today, you can actually be in flow. So thank you so much for being here, everybody. Thank you for listening to the show again. Thank you for sharing it with your friends and your colleagues. And as always, our goal is to help you be more profitable, more productive, and more proactive in every aspect of your life and business. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you in the next episode. Thanks so much again for listening to the Propreneur Podcast. We really appreciate your support. If you haven't subscribed already, please make sure you do so. Also, if you feel like you might be a good fit for our podcast as a guest, or know somebody who you think would be, go ahead and email us at dino@dinowatt.com. Again, thanks for support. We'll see you on the next episode.